Hey everybody, Trisha Howard, aka Trisha Kicks Sass here, and welcome to the third installment of dramatically reading cold sales emails with my buddy Darth. So if this is your first time here, what I do is I take cold sales emails that were intended for either me or someone in the community, like this one was, and I read them in some sort of dramatic way, hopefully funny. Now, the explainer videos are more intended for sales, to break down each email that was read and kind of talk about what was good, what could have been improved, and how to potentially get more people to answer you. These emails were not intended for me. They were actually intended for a good friend of mine who is a security practitioner, Micah K. Brown. There were 5 emails in total. I only read 3 because the first couple really gave a lot of information about the company. And as I mentioned before, I don't like to play that game. So while I'm not going to read the first message, I will give a couple of observations that I got from looking at it and reading it myself. First and foremost, it's way too long. Think about whenever you get an email or text or anything and you see a massive wall of text. What is your first response? Ugh, I don't want to read this. So we do that with people that we actually know, much less somebody who we don't know. The last thing you want to do is get over that hurdle of actually having your email opened, which we all know is a struggle, for them to just immediately click out because there's too much text. Second thing is they included a graphic, which I actually personally really like. However, when you are marketing or selling to security people, if they have to download a picture, they literally teach people not to click on things that they don't know. So forcing them to do that could make it where they just click out of the email. It also can get caught in spam filters, which is really unfortunate. I learned a lot about how my emails were coming across whenever I started pretending like I was introducing myself at a party like this. If it sounds incredibly robotic when you read it out loud, it's probably being read back that way. One good thing I did want to point on, though, was they said that they found him on LinkedIn and reached out with the actual company name. Good job. So I'm calling this one the Tokin sales guy.
Hello, Micah. I hope you're well. I realize that you may not have a lot of context around the value we bring to growing companies. I thought I'd attach a picture on how you can leverage our technology in your applications. A lot of companies lean on us for their applications. If it's not too painful, could we set aside 15 minutes so I can get an understanding of your environment?
So the first and second message were both pretty hard sales pitches that were tied to spec dumps. I understand the appeal here because you think that you're providing value to them, but what you're honestly doing is just talking about how amazing you are. So if you walked up to somebody at a party and just said, "Hello, I'm Trisha and I'm fantastic and I'm wonderful and I just wanted to tell you that the value that I bring to my other friends and other people that are around me are that I sing all the time, I have a really cute dog, and also I have pink hair. It's fabulous." Nobody would want to talk to you. They would think that you were a psychopath. Find a nice article about the industry that you're going after and include that and say, "Hey, did you see this? This is the kind of thing that we've been talking about here. I didn't know if it was of interest to you." The reason for that is because now you've not made it about you at all. You've made it about them. In some way, you are potentially offering them value if they have not seen this.
I was following up to ensure this is relevant with your role. Am I off, Micah? If securing your applications is a big deal, top of mind, could I make the introduction and bounce some ideas off you?
So I didn't necessarily have a big problem with this one. I think the only thing that really sticks out to me is, can I bounce some ideas off of you? Again, as I mentioned in the past videos, you're trying to create rapport that doesn't exist because there has been no response. There is a big difference between saying, "Could I have 15 minutes of your time?" and "Do you have 15 minutes?" Doesn't seem like it's that different, but it really is. When you say, "Could I have 15 minutes of your time?" what you're saying is, I want this time. This is about me. I need this time. Whereas Do you have 15 minutes? Puts the onus back on them. So it's just something to think about.
I crossed that line. It looks like our timing might be off. I hope I didn't like tilt to the side of being annoying versus professionally persistent. If you would like to open up a discussion regarding this stuff, like we could sing for like 10 minutes tomorrow or like next week. I could tie in an engineer from my end if it would help like maximize our conversation. Oh, if not, like stay well, and I'll check back in a few months.
So the last one, subject line, yep, I crossed that line. Now this one actually stuck out to me because I was like, I wonder what this is going to say. You know, that if an engineer comes in, then it's going to be more to a 30-minute call. So now you're asking for 10 minutes, turns into half an hour. Again, these people are extremely busy. They have a ton of things on their plate, and asking for time is really difficult, especially whenever you have not offered them anything other than a blatant sales pitch about how amazing you are. If you get to the 5th email and have not gotten any sort of response, as a salesperson, it's probably best to just swipe them away. Instead of calling it out as, oh, our timing might be off, no, our timing isn't off. Either they have no need for what I'm selling, or I have not given any sort of real value. So that's not our timing being off. That's called messaging isn't there, or it just isn't resonating, right? It just might not even be relevant. In closing, especially if you are sending a message to multiple people, make sure you send that email to yourself first. Ask yourself, would I open this? Would I read this? And would I respond? If your answer to 2 out of the 3 of them is no, then they're probably not going to respond. It also allows you to see how it's coming across to the other person. You need to check this on your desktop client, on your phone, and your cloud client if you have one, because it looks different on each one. So check it out. The last thing I will say is before you're getting ready to send out an email, record it and listen back to it. That's part of the reason I started doing these, because whenever you hear these emails out loud, sometimes you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I even said that. Because we look at digital communication a lot differently than we do in-person communication. This one was a little harder for me to explain because this is just more me being observational, as these emails were not intended for me. However, when I posted the original video, Micah did an awesome thread in response that kind of breaks down from his perspective, the person who got the email, why he didn't respond. And I wanted to share that with you here. Recently, I've had more marketing and sales emails adopt the tone that they are entitled to my time. Bad form. I am working harder than ever to protect my company, employers, partners, and customers. Please respect our time is strained. I am an IT sec engineer for a global financial org. The simple fact is, with the extra stress of the current world events, I and many of my peers are working harder and longer. For me, trust is a huge factor when I go through and decide who or what technologies I want to work with. I often recommend that salespeople go out and at least participate, if not sponsor, in small or medium meetup groups. Make your talks so even non-customers can get value from listening and learning. Contribute to free or open source tools and frameworks. Show proof of value. I had an AV vendor hold a blue team capture the flag on a Saturday and let 40 people come out and play. The CTF was explicitly designed to show how the AV product could be used to protect on-prem, virtual, and cloud assets. It's actually a really dope idea. That was Trisha's note. Support local conferences with sponsorship and vendor agnostic talks. Oftentimes, I am brought in to implement something that another entity already selected. I have made great friends over the years in the vendor space, and what I can, I try to bring them to the table. Be creative with events. Make sure even non-customers get value in your presentations. Treat IT security folks as humans and not profiles on a website that already has a reasonable large number of fish. Vendors get best ROI with me from con interactions. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week. Bye.